Grinding all my life, sacrifice, hustle paid the price, want a slice, got to roll the dice, that's why all my life, I've been grinding all my life, look, all my life, been grinding all my life, sacrifice, hustle paid the price, want a slice, got to roll the dice, that's why all my life, I've been grinding all my life, look.
What up, what up, what up, what up? Welcome to the Ball Don't Lie podcast. This is your boy Dexter, your host, the one and only. Welcome back to another show. I'm glad to have you guys here. It's been a crazy first week in the NBA. A lot of stories to get through. I've seen a lot of posters. I see teammates jawing at each other. A couple scuffles. This is what the NBA is about. This is the excitement I've been talking about. From day one to now, it's been officially 1 week in the NBA, and there's so many stories to talk about. And it's been great. And for the ones that have been watching this podcast, you know how excited I was all summer. Well, all the news is going on with the drama and the personnel and the trades and the free agency signings and the drafts and the summer league and yada, yada, yada. It's been great. It's been great. This is the NBA. This is exactly what we anticipated. This is what we wanted. And it's been lit since then. And if y'all haven't been seeing me for a little while, I'm glad you guys are back. It's been a minute. Last episode I had dropped on YouTube. Couldn't put on IG for some odd reasons. It didn't fit the community policies for IG. So if you want to catch the last episode about the 18 players they got busted for, frauding the NBA's health program. You can check that up on YouTube, and it's insane. So, but enough of that. I'm glad to be back, man. I'm glad to be back. And for the ones that are watching on YouTube or on IG, obviously I'm representing the Brooklyn Nets. It's not because I'm a fan. I just love the basketball. I love NBA. So there's teams out there that I do watch, but I'm a Warriors fan in heart. So for the ones that want to say something, hit me on the comments, though. And before we kind of get into that, and if you're new to the season 2, because this is season 2 about to pop off, it's going to be hot this year. A lot of new things about to come in. It's going to be a little bit different. This is how we move up in the chains, right? This is how we lift off, right? Season 1 was cool, but this year is going to be much better, and I promise you guys that. So if you're new to the channel, you see that on the bottom, go ahead and subscribe. Smash that like button, hit that bell notification on YouTube. You can catch every single episode that I drop. You get an alert to your cell phone or to your laptop. And if you have been watching on IG, I'm on IG as well. And I'm also on YouTube. I'm also on every other platform as far as audio. You can catch me on iTunes Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, etc. So all the links will be in the bottom. And I promise you this year is going to be lit. And I don't know. Like, there's so much stuff that's going on in the NBA right now. It's only been 1 week. We're 1 week in. Some teams we're looking at like, and some teams were like, ooh, that's surprising. So let's just go ahead and dive into the news. You want to dive into the news? Yeah? My bad. That's my producer in the back. Yeah, so let's go ahead and dive into the news. Hit it.
News and notes from around association.
So for the news that's been going on in the NBA, there's a lot to cover, so let's go ahead and dive into it. The Toronto Raptors, who haven't played all of last year in Toronto, in Canada, because of COVID restrictions and the travel of other players coming to Toronto, the Toronto Raptors were temporarily called the Tampa Bay Raptors, and they played in Tampa Bay the whole entire season last year. So for the first time last week, opening at home court, it's been 600 days. The last time the Raptors played in Toronto, right before COVID, February 28, 2020, it's been 600 plus days. And that arena was packed. And we see what happened. DeMar DeRozan came back in town with the Bulls. Even though they won, I think they're currently like 4-0 or whatever it may be. That crowd was electric. And this is exactly what we need, fans in the crowd. So hopefully y'all be safe out there. For the ones that are not vaccinated, you can't get in. But the ones who are at the games, you got to stay safe out there. But yeah, 600 days. NBA has once again been in the limelight for the rift between China and free speech. Enes Kanter, who publicly came out against his own country in Turkey, talked about who's the president over there in Turkey being a dictator, called him out, and Turkey wanted United States to extradite Enes Kanter back to Turkey. And the United States said they're not going to do that. So Turkey, as far as Enes Kanter, can no longer go to Turkey. As long as he's in power, from what the reports are out there, Enes Kanter can't step 1 foot on soil in Turkey. Matter of fact, he's afraid to even leave the United States because what he said about, the regime over there, calling it a dictator, blah, blah, blah. So once again, Enes Kanter is back in the news. This time, Wednesday, opening night for the Knicks. The Celtics were in town. Enes Kanter, which I'll post a picture right here, had free to bet on his shoes. And that caught on fire. Like, it was on Twitter. It was on Instagram. People were talking about it on a global scale because free to bet were finally getting recognition from the Western side of the hemisphere, right? Like, people know what's going on. If you don't know what's going on with free to bet, it's an easy Google search. Look it up. And what China is doing as far as with the genocide towards Muslim, Chinese, or Asian descent people, with the whole concentration camp that's going on, and the displacing of innocent people. So Enes Kanter spoke about that on IG Live or whatever it was, but he was on a video. Then at the game, he wearing the shoes free to bet. So China saw that and was like, you know what, Boston Celtics, all your games are banned. All your games are banned. And this reminds us of what happened a couple of years ago with Daryl Morey, who was running the Rockets general manager position, for years, said something about China. And knowing that the biggest team in the NBA as far as China fans is the Rockets because of Yao Ming, they have a huge China community, a Chinese community in Houston, outside the Bay Area. Houston is the second most popular area for Chinese descent. And they banned them. And then the owner felt the pockets. He felt the pockets being burnt. Like, he lost a lot of revenue on streaming rights, jersey, merchandise, whatever you want to call it. So when a year went by, Daryl Morey was pretty much let go. Like, he was either going to get fired or, out of respect for what he has done for the Houston Rockets over those years, it was like, hey, go ahead and resign now, quit now, before we tarnish your career. Because if he got fired, I don't know if they will hire GMs. When GMs get fired in the NBA, it's very reluctant for them to get a job in the NBA. A head coach, yeah, it's different. But for a GM, it's not. Even though Daryl Morey is one of the top 3 GMs in the NBA, hands down. There's no debate about that. But Daryl Morey would not recover from that. And he took a break for a little bit, and obviously the Sixers job came up and he took it right away. So this is the repeat of what happened. Is Enes Kanter worth the headache to lose streaming revenue from the international section? And you got to understand, the biggest fan base as far as the NBA is not America. It's not domestically, trust me. It is overseas. The biggest revenue streamers are in China. Despite the games being 4 in the morning, 5, 6, 7 in the morning, they watch those games on the way to work, or they're just getting off work, or they're in school, whatever it may be. So to lose the Celtics, and the Celtics are not a big market in China compared to the Rockets, but the Boston Celtics will feel that. So with Enes Kanter, is it worth it? Is it worth them keeping Enes Kanter for them? I'm pretty sure this is his last stint with the Celtics. All right, he's been here twice now. This is probably his last stint. Once they fill out the money situation 6 months down the road, once you start seeing the numbers coming in and it ain't looking right, yeah. Is it worth it for that one player who is not your star player, who is not your starting center? He is a rotational player, even 9th on the bench or 10th on the bench. So we'll see that. We'll keep in touch about the whole situation that's going on with Enes Kanter in China. We'll see. Once things, go into fruition, we'll bring you the news and definitely let you know what's going on. So going on, NBA and FIBA are in talks right now, literally in talks right now, about starting an NBA in Europe. Just let that sink for a second. The NBA is trying to form a league in Europe where I don't know the fine print, I don't know the language, but David Stern, and let me say this, David Stern, the late David Stern, the former commissioner, the great commissioner, probably one of the best commissioners of all time in any sport in America, mentioned this back in 2012 publicly, that he is working to expand the NBA overseas. Like he did it in Canada with Vancouver and Toronto. And even though Vancouver didn't pan out, Toronto's a successful story and a successful franchise. I mean, they have a good fan base. So they're trying to put a league in Europe. From my understanding is that FIBA and the NBA are in the talks about it. Major clubs like Real Madrid, Barcelona, you know, the Turkish league, the league in Israel, a couple other teams in the upper echelon of Europe are all okay with the forming of the NBA and FIBA. So what this would mean is that my understanding and my speculation, I guess, is that NBA teams will go overseas and play in I'm assuming it might be like a tournament of some sort, because there's no way an Eastern Conference or the Western Conference can add teams from Europe, because players are not going to travel consistently across the Atlantic to play, especially if the players in Europe are not NBA players, even though the NBA league is forming with the FIBA. So as time goes on, more information will come out, and then I'll also eventually address this, because this is crazy, that there will be an expansion of the NBA across the Atlantic. So, and the big clubs, like I said, Real Madrid, Barcelona, the teams in Turkey, as far as the Turkish league, Israel, in London, whatever it may be. Imagine seeing KD and LeBron James, whoever it may be, a star, Stephen Curry, playing those guys, you know, in London or in Paris or in Rome or in Madrid or in Barcelona or Istanbul. Right? I mean, this will be amazing to see players, because they don't see that. Like, they don't see play. The only time we ever go across seas is only when it comes to FIBA tournaments or the Olympics. Expedition, representing your own team. Like, imagine if KD, the Brooklyn Nets, played an expedition game or a tournament, whatever it may be. So keep that in mind. FIBA and the NBA are working right now as we speak to form a league. The word is on the street that in a couple years it will be formed. So I'll definitely bring that up, but that is definitely big news for sure. Let's talk about some NBA players in the league that got their extensions. Malcolm Brogdon has agreed to a 2-year, $45 million extension, which now he is guaranteed $89 million over the next 4 years. So the Pacers are trying to, trade the guy for the last couple of years. No suitors, no buyers. What they were asking for was a steep price, and what they wanted in return, they wanted a very good player in a sense, or first a top 10 draft pick, which that's not going to happen. Even though Malcolm Brogdon was a rookie of the year in Milwaukee. Milwaukee for some reason did not want to keep that kid. That kid's pretty good. Pacers got a good point guard. They should keep him, so they paid the kid, and that's great. Let's talk about Ben Simmons situation. So the Ben Simmons news is still ongoing. As of right now, he has obviously came back to the team. For the ones that do know out there, there was a rift between Ben Simmons in practice with the Sixers, where he refused to engage with the players, practicing plays, whatever it was. There was reports about a cell phone being in his pocket while he was running plays. Come to find out, it was a tag, but people still want to go about the cell phone situation. Whatever it may be, whatever y'all want to believe, but he has something in his pocket. Obviously, the guy didn't care, because when they huddled up, he was in the background dribbling. And once the huddle broke and they came back to the court, Ben Simmons took off and left the building. Then he came back, and then Doc Rivers called him back into, to come into a situation as far as a practice play, a scheme on defense and offense. I'm not sure exactly, but he refused to do it multiple times. So Doc Rivers told him, hey, kick rocks. If you're not going to be here, kick rocks. So he left. And then over time, Embiid and whoever else, and Doc Rivers has spoken to Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons then at that point said he apologized. He will come back and engage with the team, but right now he's not mentally fit to play. So whatever that timetable might be, that's TBH. We'll see what happens. You know, he might come back, he might not. I've been saying for the longest time, there's no way he's going to stay here. This is all a plan. He's doing this to keep his game checks, to get paid. Because if he wasn't here in practice, then he would not get paid. He's missing out to almost damn near $400,000 per practice, per game. Like, you're not going to miss money for a young guy. I don't care who you are. You did not make LeBron James money or KD money or Steph money. So those $400K, even those guys we're not going to be able to lose it. So it's an ongoing situation. We'll keep an eye on what's going to happen. But Ben Simmons right now is playing that game. And I don't know if it has a lot to do with Rich Paul, who is the agent, who is LeBron's best friend. So we'll see how that works, because Rich Paul did the same thing with AD, and AD eventually got traded, right? But AD didn't go through this kind of extent, right? He just said, I don't want to be here, and they traded him. So we'll see what happens with Ben Simmons. But as of right now, he's not mentally ready to play. And then obviously Joel Embiid, who kind of said, we're not here to babysit this kid. And now he came back saying that, hey, he's our brother, you know, gave a speech out to the whole entire crowd in front of their home opener. So, I mean, it's very emotional, because I'm pretty sure Embiid likes dude, but at the same time, he's not here to, you know, babysit. So I'm pretty sure it was a PR situation. They told him kind of say those right things, whatever it may be, so the public doesn't really, you know, continue to scratch the surface. So Ben Simmons is an ongoing situation. Stay tuned. Another disgruntled player, Kyrie Irving, does not want to be vaccinated. And there's reports coming out that Kyrie wanted to retire. That came out from his camp. I don't know where the sources are coming from, but they're coming from some people that are saying those are sources. So I don't know who's lying. Is it Kyrie's camp that's lying, or is it these people who are on big media platforms like ESPN and Fox and wherever else are basically just bullshitting? So or BSing. Sorry about that. We'll see. The Kyrie situation, it's going to get to a point. It's going to get to a point where KD and James Harden are not going to vibe with this. Okay, you got to understand.
KD left the situation in Golden State. He left the Warriors. He went to the NBA Finals every single year he was there. He has 2 rings because of that.
He has never won a ring. He has never came close to winning, even though he was in OKC in 2012 against the Miami Heat. Against LeBron James, he was a young kid. You leave Steph Curry, who was probably one of the hardest guys to guard in the NBA and the most dangerous player in the court. And you leave Klay Thompson and Draymond Green and that organization who's willing to spend to go join with Kyrie.
Who's saying that, you know what? I'm not going to get vaccinated.
Even though he did not see that coming years prior, but there's been a lot of red flags by Kyrie lately. Come on, let's keep it real now. His situation in Cleveland, to some degree, is LeBron's fault. I get it. But he wanted out. Goes to Boston. Doesn't work out. Comes to the Brooklyn Nets. Couple years he's been there. He hasn't been doing nothing. He's been overpaid for his less play. If you don't believe me, look up the numbers. He hasn't played more than 60 or 70 games. The guy's been injured. The guy doesn't show up. Like, he just doesn't. He's not the same Kyrie. Okay, so if people want to add Kyrie to the top 75 of all time, you are crazy. If Dwight Howard cannot make that list, which I'm about to bring out in a second, there's no way Kyrie would have made it. And people want to talk about Dame. Yeah, to a slight degree, Dame shouldn't be in there either. Not over Dwight Howard. That's a fact. But it is what it is. That list is BS. So if you want to argue about the Kyrie situation, you can hit me up on IG. You can hit me up on Instagram, whatever it may be, and let me know. I'm going to show you the numbers. But Kyrie situation, it's bizarre. It just doesn't make any sense. And, you know, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Because when push comes to shove, when the Nets go through a stretch with losing games, frustration builds. The finger's going to be pointed at who? Kyrie Irving, Uncle Drew. The guy with the baddest handles on earth, right? They're going to point the finger to him. But that's his choice. If you don't want to get vaccinated, that is your choice. But you play in a place, in this state, or the city, that requires to have, you have to be vaccinated if you want to be at these venues. So We'll see what happens. But the NBA 75th anniversary team, like I said, is BS. All right. Dwight Howard is not on there. Tony Parker is not on there. Forget about Manu Ginobili. Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady. If you want to argue those two guys, I get it. But you telling me that Dwight Howard and Tony Parker are not in the top 75 best players of all time? Of all time? Look at Dwight's numbers. Look at these numbers. Look at his accolades. Look at his achievements. When he was in Orlando, those 5 years, he was the most dominant center on earth. On earth. 3 times Defensive Player of the Year. First team all defense 5 times. Come on now. Multiple All-Stars. Starting center for the All-Stars. And for some reason, he don't whoever made this list either had done 2 things. Either they purposely left Dwight out because of something that happened with him and Kobe, with Dwight and Kobe, and they're using that against them, or they just purposely forgot about Dwight Howard, like he didn't exist. That's the only 2 things I can come to an assumption right now. But whoever made that list, you should not even get paid. And NBA, come on now. For you to release that list, we need the names of the person who did it. But going forward, Lakers this year, I don't know what's going on. They had their first win against the Memphis, but that was damn near luck. John Morant missed his last free throw to tie the game to go over overtime, and anything could have happened. Melo caught fire. You expect Melo at 37 to do that? To save you against a team that's not even a top 10 team in the league? You're struggling. You get smacked by the Suns, right? You get humbled by the Suns. You get humbled by the Warriors. You're playing against the Spurs. Let's see what happens, right? Obviously, this is a work in progress. This is under construction, whatever you want to call it, right? This is a team that's in progress to pan out to win championships, right? To get to the final stage, to get to that the title land. How in the world are you expecting this to happen when teammates are fighting each other? Dwight Howard, I get how he is, right? But for AD to act like that, that means something was said. Something was said beyond defensive schemes and, meltdowns on the court. Something was said to him where it touched a nerve. And even though they squashed it, whatever it is, that's not being squashed. That's not going to be squashed. When this happens again down the road, who's the next person? Is it going to be Rondo and Russ? Rajon Rondo and Russell Westbrook. Are they going to get into it? Because I know for sure they don't like each other prior to coming to LA. That's duly noted. So what, bygones be bygones now? Let's just work on winning a championship? Yeah, until emotions get in the mix. Who's going to be next after that? Carmelo? So you know how Carmelo is. He's very talkative. He don't back down from nobody. I don't know about LeBron. He might not talk to LeBron because that's his team. But everybody else can get it. Dwight? DeAndre Jordan? I don't know. We're going to see. We're going to see because this is going to be the most entertainment team to watch and listen and, break down and analytics or, analysis or stories and whatever you want to call it. They are made for news. So definitely keep your eyes on that. Going forward, Suns are doing 2 different issues right now. They haven't paid DeAndre Ayton for some reason. They don't want to pay him his extension. DeAndre Ayton wanted 5 years. 5 years with the Phoenix Suns. The owner said, you know what, we're going to give you 4 or 3 years. To DeAndre Ayton? I don't know what's the reason why they don't want to pay the kid. The kid is the reason why you're in the NBA Finals. Don't disrespect DeAndre Ayton. D-Book, we know your game is good. CB3, yeah, you a culture changer. You change your culture. But you also said he can get the bag this summer in the Western Conference Finals. I'm pretty sure you said that. Hold on, man. Run the clip.
That man over there, DeAndre Ayton, he's going to get him a bag this summer. He's going to get him a bag, and he's showing everybody right now during the playoffs why.
Yeah. He's going to get paid the bag, right? Then what happened? They paid Chris Paul the bag, but not DA. And here's the reason why y'all beat the Nuggets. He did a fabulous job against Jokic, a.k.a. the Joker. You're going to need DA. Without him, your Suns team ain't going nowhere. I'm pretty sure they can work things out in the summer. But if not, he's walking for free. I don't get it. The other issue about the Phoenix Suns is the owner. Okay, so before I actually get into the owner situation, they paid Shamet, who they just traded for $45 million. Okay, they also paid Michael Bridges, who's also drafted in the same draft class with DeAndre Ayton. They paid him, how much they paid him? $90 million. So $90 million going to Mikal Bridges, $45 million going to Landry Shamet, and $0 is going to DeAndre Ayton. I don't know what the problem is, but that owner over there, Robert Sarver, is a cheap dude. They didn't want to pay players in the past too. He didn't want to pay, not Damon Stoudemire. They didn't want to pay Amari Stoudemire. They didn't want to pay other players. Joe Johnson was drafted by the Phoenix Suns before he went to Atlanta. They didn't want to pay him. So they had a history of this. But going forward, all right? So, like I said, negotiations died between them, before the season started, which the expiration for signing the extension expired. So summertime is when they'll be able to talk again, but we'll see what happens by then. Phoenix Suns owners in deep problems this year. Okay, Jordan Schwartz, who works for ESPN, has dropped a bombshell article accusing the Suns owner Robert Sarver of racism, sexism, and sexual harassment. With enough evidence to support the claims, and there is a real chance the league would forcibly remove the Suns owner Robert Sarver. Remember, Darnell Sterling, who was forced to sell his team because he said some stuff about Magic Johnson and black players to his side chick, telling her, I don't care who you mess with, but don't mess with Magic Johnson. And don't mess with my other black players on my team. Like their assets, like their property. Like he's a master and they're slaves. And guess what happened to him? The NBA players won't understand. It's like, we ain't gonna play. LeBron James, Chris Paul, the whole entire gang said, we're not playing. And guess what happened? The NBA forced him to sell his team, his own team, out. And this is like what, 4 years ago or so, 5 years ago, less than that. So this can be possible. This can be possible for Robert Sarver. Keep an eye on the Phoenix Suns owner. Like there's a lot of stuff that's been said, and I'm gonna go ahead and post this quote what he said about or his statement that he gave out. And the statement says from Robert Sarver, we understand that the ESPN is considering publishing a proposed story that makes completely baseless claims against the Suns Legacy Partners LLC organization concerning a variety of topics, which is the statement was said, right? Then he continues to say, first and foremost, I reject any insinuations of personal and organizational racism or gender discrimination. I despise language that disrespects any individual, regardless of race, gender, preference, or choice. He said, such language has no place in business or at home. And what I consider the Suns and Mercury families. I'm proud of our record of diversity and inclusion on both teams, whether on the court or in the front office. Okay, this is his statement. He came out guns blazing. They also tweeted. Let me see if I can find this tweet. And the Phoenix Suns, who also came out, the Twitter account, the Twitter handle by the Phoenix Suns also tweeted a statement, which I'm on the post right here, so check this out, which they said, we understand that the outlet is considering publishing a proposed story that makes completely baseless claims against the Suns organization concerning a variety of topics. Documentary evidence in our possession and eyewitnessing accounts directly contradicts the reporter's accusations, and we're preparing our response to his question. We urge everyone not to rush to judgment here, especially based on lies, innuendo, and false narrative and attack on our organization and its leaderships. This is coming from the Twitter handle. So like they're all out blazing right now. They're trying to capitalize on everything, trying to get ahead of the storm, right? But the NBA will investigate. This bombshell by, what's his name again? Jordan Schwartz. This guy's respected in ESPN. Like this guy's a great reporter. So like this doesn't come out of thin air. Robert Sarver owns the Mercury, which is the WNBA, and the Phoenix Suns. So on both sides of issues, sexism, racism, sexual harassment, that's definitely going to open up eyes and ears from everybody. So stay tuned. There's a lot to get into. We'll see what happens with the whole situation with Robert Starver. He might not be here. He might. Who knows? We'll see what the investigation will entail. But hey, this year's been lit so far. We have the Warriors 3-0 so far, about to go 4-0. You have LaMelo balling out, now shooting threes like he's Steph Curry. Bridges on the Hornets is balling. He's been dropping 30 to 30, back-to-back games. The Chicago Bulls, what a team they have with AC and Alonzo and Zach LaVine and DeRozan, right? And AC, people who don't know who that is, Alex Caruso, right? The GOAT is what they call him, right? Yeah, they have a good team. They're 4-0, about to be 5-0. Who knows? We'll see what happens. But there's a lot of good teams out there. It's early in the year. We'll see what happens. Obviously, the big dogs will eventually come on top, right? Unless they're going to be a surprising team in the East. But we'll see. Season is brand new. It's fresh. It just started. And if you're new to this channel, go ahead and subscribe. Hey, man, we're going to be here all year long, so why not kick with us at all? Why not? Come over here and just join the channel for a second. And if everyone has been watching, can't thank you enough. I always show the love and support. Until then, I'll see y'all next time, man. One love.